Alright, it's your boy xBenv0liox playing some Vampire Coast here against Chaos. Playing against Tom Bombadil, who is playing against Chaos. I got my Chaos Wrecking Vampire Coast army with my Count Noctilus with some abilities stripped to kind of make his microplay a little simpler, and so that extra value is dumped into some chevrons for the rest of my units. And it's a pretty wide build I've got going on here, pretty big. I'll walk you through it right here, of course, with Noctilus and all his. I've got kept Melkoff's Mystifying Miasma, Invocation of Nehek for healing, and then all his passive abilities, but I kind of took away deselected a few of his other abilities because, like I've always said, it's just too much micro going on when you have too many abilities, and I think it's often more useful to just kind of keep it simple. So, and he's proving really useful in that regard when I just kind of take away abilities I don't tend to use with him and dump those into chevrons for the rest of my units. So let's take a look at the rest of my build. I've got 3 mortars. 1, 2, 3 zombie mortar crews. 2 groups of rotting Prometheans to kind of anchor the line, stop up any gaps as they appear. Got 1 group of handguns back here to kind of fire at anyone coming through the lines. I also have 1 group on either flank able to fire in. They're already doing some work against these Marauder Horsemen who just were immediately under fire right from the beginning. They were getting shot at by the mortars and my handgunners. This other group here too, they're not having a good time. They're just getting shot at all the time. So I have 3 groups of handgunners who are already going to work on these horsemen who with throwing axes are just not in a good place. They are trying to chuck some axes at my zombie pirate deckhand mobs, of which I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups. Holy cow. 5 groups of those as the front line, just this meat wall. On the flank I've got zombie pirates with halberds to kind of guard against cavalry and other things coming in from the flank. Two groups of those on either flank. Like I said, the running Prometheans in the back. The 3 groups of handgunners, and then 2 squadrons of deck droppers. I have the Salt Lord Scuttlers, the bombers with armor sundering. I like them. I really like their. I really like the amount of damage they do with their little bombs and the armor sundering. I think the bomber variants of these deck droppers I find to be really useful, especially against Chaos because they punish the armor, and Chaos has not the most effective ways often enough in the kind of army compositions Chaos brings to really kind of counter aerial bombardments like that, and these guys were really useful in this game, and they've already done quite a number on the Marauder Horsemen throwing axes. But let's take a look at my opponent's army. He's got obviously these 2 groups of horsemen with throwing axes that have already taken a lot of abuse. He thought he was going to be cheeky, park them right in front of my army and get some free shots off, but they were just, under a lot of fire immediately from my mortars and from my handgunners, and so they have taken a lot of damage, and they are getting out of there because they want to live. So he's got those 2 groups. He's also looks like he's got 2 exalted heroes on manticores. Oh yeah, they cause terror. They have scaly skin. Yeah, nasty. So mounted on manticores, and he's got a Chaos Sorcerer Lord fire, so he's casting some nasty offensive fire spells with that on a Chaos Dragon. Nasty piece of work. So he's got a real aerial brute squad there. Not going to be so good. Going to want to shoot them down. He's got Chaos Warriors, kind of armored and shielded. Nasty bunch. What else has he got? The Mirror Guard, Regiment Renown. Oh yeah, Mirror Guard. Kind of, I think, what was it? Sigvald the Magnificent. They serve him or whatever. So they actually carry shields to show Sigvald his beautiful face as they march into battle. So they're a really interesting regiment of renown. You can see the purple, which stands for basically Slanesh, the Prince of Excess. Another group of Chaos Warriors. So he's got 4 groups of Chaos Warriors in the front. He's got a group of Chosen in the back. These are high-tier Chaos Infantry, armored and shielded. And again, those 2 groups of cavalry at the front. But it looks like a infantry grind build, lots of armor, lots of shielding, and those 2 exalted heroes on the manticore, so on the manticores and the Lord with fire. So a very small build, again a very asymmetrical battle, just kind of like the last one on Bloodpine Woods, where I was the kind of the narrower build. And but this time I'm the wider build with the Vampire Coast. But let's see how he does. These can be pretty destructive because they will chew through my infantry, my meat wall. The zombies will not do very well against that. So I have to use my artillery and my monsters to the greatest effect here, as well as the deck droppers and the mortars to really hammer down that force before it can do too much damage. But let's get things going in real speed, and let's see how it goes. So my deck droppers, I came in to try and do a bit of damage, but I want to be really careful about those 2 exalted heroes and the dragon, because they will wreck my air. So it's also the throwing axes can also fire back at the bats, so I want to be a bit cautious with the bats and choose the best targets. You know, those elite groups I think would be the best ones to fire against. Let's see how it's mortar hitting. So this is gonna be great if I get some bombs off against some of these elite infantry. Ooh, yeah, the chosen, good. Yeah, I want to blow them up a bit. That's gonna be good. Do some armor sundering damage, but I don't want to take too much abuse on these bats from the throwing axes. It looks like the sorcerer might come over too, so I want to be really careful because those bats can get deleted. He's done a great spell, a great fire spell, damaging my zombie pirates deckhands mobs quite effectively, basically almost eliminating 1 unit immediately. And they're crumbling with damage sustained, but I think I'm going to hit them with an Invocation of Nehek to try and bring them back up, make sure my meat wall is pretty strong. The handgunners able to fire against the Martyr Horsemen, who are also taking mortar fire, and they are not going to want to stay around for that either. Bringing the deck droppers back to try and make sure I'm conserving their model count as his infantry advances, but the mortars have chonked away pretty well at some of these, especially still the horsemen. The bats did some damage against the chosen, which is really great. The mortar's still firing. Now hopefully the mortars are going to focus more on the infantry, really zoning out those horsemen. They are just taking too much abuse. Now the handgunners hopefully going to fire against just the infantry, which would be great. Fire against the infantry. Let's see if they're firing against the infantry down here. Greatly reduced because of that fire spell, but hopefully I'll get a couple volleys off against these Chaos Warriors. Reduce their model counts just a little bit. Come on now. Come on now. Come on now. Blast one of them apart. Yeah, the mortars firing against the infantry here as well. Looks like the Chaos Sorcerer might go for another spell. Ooh, and he did. Oh, a breath attack from the dragon. Invocation in the heck on the handgunners to try and... Oh, and they are resurrecting some of the combatants, which is great. The crab's moving up, getting ready. He's hitting another fire spell, but I'm moving my infantry right out of the way of that. He could have deleted my whole front line, which would have been great. That's what he was holding back for. However, I got them out of the way, mostly out of the way just in time. Looks like there will be a little damage from that flaming head. Ooh, yeah. Deleting that central part still, unfortunately, because he was able to close in time. And now he's also revealing some hidden troops, some Chaos Warhounds coming in from the flanks against my halberds, but that's why my halberds are there. Not a great engagement for them. Oof, against 2 units of those, that's not going to be a great engagement for them, but hopefully with 2 units of halberds, that'll be alright. The Rotting Prometheans coming to help bolster the line as the zombies are fighting the Chaos Warriors, and obviously that's going to go the Chaos Warriors' way, but they are just supposed to be a meat wall. The Chaos Sorcerer taking a lot of fire from those backup group of handgunners, which is great. I think Noctilus also gets a spell or 2, but those Exalted Heroes are going to be a nasty pain in the butt to deal with. Noctilus is going to have to summon some zombie pirates to help him out because that's the one spell I kept with him. Noctilus in a bad place with 2 of those against him, so we're going to summon some deckhand mobs to kind of cover up Noctilus's hitbox again. The handgunner's able to hopefully zone out that Sorcerer Lord, and the bats coming in just for a melee attack just to bog him down, hold him in place, prevent him from casting spells, I hope. Although obviously they're not they're winning decisively. That's good, yeah. They're just outnumbering him. That's great, especially with 2 groups. So that was really good. So we have the summoned deckhand mobs to kind of distract these 2 mana cores, bog them down, fill up Noctilus's hitbox, and stop letting them kind of bully circle, because they did quite a number on Noctilus. I guess that was his plan. Casting a Melkoth's Mystifying Miasma against the Chaos Warriors. The Rotting Prometheans now anchoring things, and the halberds, having driven off the Warhounds, able to circle in from the sides. However, those Warhounds may be coming back. And over here on this side, we still got 2 groups of handgunners, I think able to fire in against these Mirror Guard, who are taking quite a bit of abuse from the Rotting Prometheans. Let's see how this fight's going. Look at that. Yeah, they're trying to chop them up, but those big giant crabs not going down easily, doing a great job of anchoring the line. This group of deckhands just about to be eliminated by these Chaos Warriors, and yes, that is kind of the outcome of that situation. Noctilus still surrounded by zombie pirate deckhand mobs. How have they taken so much abuse from these just deckhand mobs? I don't get, where did all the damage come from? I must have gotten the handgunners to get some shots onto them or something like that, or Noctilus did some abuse, or the The deck dropper's doing that. The deck dropper's still trying to bully this Chaos Sorcerer Lord, who is now winning. This other group of Rotting Prometheans down to half health, but have managed to deal with these Chosen and Chaos Warriors. Have they got armor piercing? No, they're not armor piercing, but still. Anyway, and the handgunners able to bring their guns to bear. They're very key, right? Getting those shots off against those armored Chaos units. This group of halberds chasing off those horsemen, gonna want to bring them back. The Chosen dwindling. These two Exalted Heroes still trying to punish Noctilus and still getting away from those Zombie Prior deckhand mobs, but Noctilus still fighting back, and they're wavering. Because the handgunners are getting shots off against them, which is great. They're big, nice targets. Casting a fire against Noctilus, who's in a bad way. I think this is when I cast Invocation of Neck on myself to kind of heal Noctilus a bit. But the handgunners seem to have driven the Exalted Heroes away pretty effectively. Oh, and a Wraith Storm on that Chaos Lord. Oh, and he's going to be brought down by those handgunners in that Wraith Storm. He's not in a good position. The bats are going to be able to finish him off. That Exalted Hero being driven off as well. And that is game for me. Alright, so well played to my opponent, Tom Bombadil. Pretty sweet name based on Lord of the Rings, but that was another great asymmetrical Blood Pine Woods battle. Hope you enjoyed it, and keep it real. It's for the boys back home. It's your boy XBenv0liox.